You voted for the Mega Man X retrospective, so it begins with the first 3 games, X1, X2, and X3. So let's begin with Mega Man X1. And to give a little overview of the story, it's pretty much the sequel series to the classic Mega Man games. In 21XX, robots no longer follow the first rule of robotics and live freely because of one robot called X, made by Dr. Light to be the first robot to think freely. And Dr. Kane, who finds him, builds a society called Reploids, where they are pretty much human, but robot. Then the Reploids fall into something called the Maverick virus. So Dr. Kane makes the Maverick Hunters to stop these attacks until the leader Sigma gets infected and does genocide. X rises and stops Sigma, and during this X fights 8 robots, previously Maverick Hunters: Chill Penguin, Spark Mandrill, Armored Armadillo, Launch Octopus, Boomer Kuwanger, Sting Chameleon, and Storm Eagle. And don't forget Flame Mammoth. After defeating them all, you head to the final stages, and Vile, which was the guy who beat the ever-living daylights of you. And I mean, he still kicks your ass. So after that, Zero, who is a character that I haven't mentioned at all, breaks out and blows up Vile's mech armor. And then he fucking dies. Then you proceed to defeat Vile. After that you go to Zero, where he tells you that you have the power to defeat Sigma, then fades away. Which on its own is a great moment for X, as Zero saved us at the start and now X is all alone. And this moment is better in the remake as the acting is perfect.
Zero! Hang in there, buddy!
X, I'm always telling you to be more careful. But now look at me.
Don't waste your energy talking, Zero. We gotta fix you up.
There's no time for that. Here, take my arm parts. Use them on Sigma.
Zero.
Go now. Maverick Hunter X.
If you guys want to see a video on that game, I will do it. Anyway, you reach Sigma and his dog that you make very easy work of. Then you fight Sigma, which you also defeat without trying at all. And in typical Mega Man tradition, there is a third phase, which you beat. By the end, X ponders for how long he will fight for. It's quite a somber ending because Zero is dead. The Maverick Hunters are also all gone when you really think about it. And the song really shows you that as well. Which is another thing, this game has a really good soundtrack, but you already knew that. But when talking about the gameplay is when these games get the praise, as now you don't start off with full health. 8 heart tanks are hidden every main stage, for sub-tanks in 4 of the main stages, and armor upgrades in for stages. And this kind of design works really well in Mega Man, as all the stages are so expansive, and the way you find these upgrades is really good, as you have way more moves, like a dash and dash jumping, and a wall kick, which the first stage shows off pretty well. So as a whole, I think this game is pretty good, but it still has that first game problem where everything is not as refined, like you still need to unlock the dash first, which by the time we get into the second game, it's already unlocked, and that's a great segue too. So it has been 6 months since the last attack from Sigma, and they find a Maverick workshop, and with Green Biker Dude they storm the base. And after a very sad death and a very good opening stage. After that opening, 3 Mavericks called the X-Hunters watch X, and they hold Zero's parts after his death in the last game. Then you start the game proper with 8 brand new Mavericks: Wire Sponge, Wheel Gator, Flame Stag, Bubble Crab, Overdrive Ostrich, Magna Centipede, Morph Moth, and Crystal Snail. After killing them all, you go to the final stages in typical Mega Man fashion. And one thing I want to say about both games so far and Mega Man X3 is that pretty much all the level design is really good. Then you fight the X-Hunters again, which in the other stages, you can fight them for 0 Sparts, but for this run I decided not to fight them, as I did that last year when I streamed the games, which you should check out. I stream on Fridays and Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. most of the time, so you should check it out because I'm probably streaming right now. Anyway, these guys don't really matter in the plot. they are only really there for the second villain role, which after this game, every other game does, which sucks. I think these guys are pretty cool. But one thing to note, there is a theory that Surges is Dr. Wily in a robot body. As in the Japanese version, he says that he can't be beaten by the likes of a Dr. Light robot again, which is interesting, but this is not the only theory and mentions Dr. Wily. In the third stage, if you have every single item collected and full health, using the speed burner weapon, fully charged, you can go under this spike area and get a special item like in Mega Man X. And again, it's a Street Fighter fighting skill, which could one-shot any boss, like in the last game. And I didn't mention it because it's common knowledge, but I will say it's done better here as you get it right at the end of the game. But in Mega Man X, it's most likely possible to get it after fighting for bosses. Anyway, kill the boss without any issue at all. Final boss time. But first you have to fight Zero, as Sigma made him against you. And this was my first time fighting him in a long time, and I say you should always get the parts. But you'll see soon why in later games. Anyway, this boss is really hard, but so simple if that makes any sense. He turns good again, and now it's time for the true last boss, Neon Sigma. And cool thing about this boss is that he uses his weakness from the last game against you, which shows he learns from his copy, which I didn't say that Mega Man X has a post-credit scene before it was cool, telling us that Sigma used a mirror copy of himself, which is just so cool and makes his return make sense, unlike in the next games. After beating him, he enters a new form called the Sigma virus, which becomes very important later on, which say what you will about the story in these games. At least almost all of them feel connected, at least until X6. Beat him, and that's the game. And it's a damn near perfect sequel to Mega Man X, as everything is improved. The stages, the armor, as now you have an air dash, which is so much better than just having a dash, a staple of the Mega Man X series. Overall, a better plot, even if I think the X Hunters were poorly mishandled, but let's hope the Nightmare Police will do better when we move to. So Mega Man X3 takes place not long after X2 and sees a new villain making a city called Doppeltown. It's some maverick town made by Dr. Doppler, but then an attack starts and X and Zero go. That's how the story starts. And I think this start leads into the best intro stage in the whole series, as it puts you right in the battle setting, a really cool set piece. Then you get captured by Mac, who really doesn't matter like at all. You know he's like Rapture from Ninja Slayer, like he dies in the same episode he's in, and it's funny because I hate Rapture. And how does this relate to anything that's happening? I'm not sure. But then Zero shows up for his first and worst playable experience. But more about that later. So then you defeat Mac and save X. You fight a boss that goes down pretty fast, which is kind of a trend in these games. The intro bosses are always big, but go down so fast. And then our 8 bosses, which are Toxic Seahorse, Crush Crawfish, Tunnel Rhino, Gravity Beetle, Neon Tiger, Filtered Buffalo, Volt Catfish, and Blast Hornet. And now seeing all the Mavericks, I like the X3 ones the most, as not only their stages are my favorite of the entire trilogy, as the theme and the music is awesome, but their designs are really sharp. And that's not mentioning the Nightmare Police, which I think is better than the X Hunters, as in my opinion they look cooler, as they aren't the focus. Dr. Doppler is. The Nightmare Police are Bit, Bite, and Vile Mark III, which returns in this game, which I think is a perfect to have him in the final game of the first trilogy. In the first final stage, like in X2, there is a secret, but it is not based on anything. It's just a better and better looking armor that I'll say is the best armor in almost the whole series. A cool mechanic in this game is that you can kill the Nightmare Police by using their weakness, but since I did that last time, I decided to fight the boss where Bit and Bite, and I'm not going to try to say the name. Like, good luck with that. Anyway, before I talk about Vile Mark III, Zero sucks in this game. As for one, he gives you his Z-Saber, which in hindsight might have been a bad idea. But if he dies, you can't play as him, which asks the question, why add at all? And for this run, I didn't use the Z-Saber. I think it's very cool that Vile is in this game. He is not in it a lot, but he goes out in a quite haunting way, which makes his inclusion in this game matter. It really shows how much he hates X telling him that he will haunt him until the day he dies, which in hindsight is so cool that he appears later on again. Great way for him to go out, at least for now. Anyway, you go on to fight Dr. Doppler, which surprise to anyone, he brings back Sigma for a reason I really don't know, but I think the villains of this game are great. This is the hardest Sigma fight out of the whole trilogy. And I say this as over time, when you beat the same Mega Man X or Mega Man Zero, you get better and beat the games faster. But for me, this game will always be hard even if I get good at it. That's why I think it's my favorite Super Nintendo Mega Man X game, and if you don't have the Z-Saber on the final boss, it's way harder. But I beat him on my third try and using all my sub-tanks. Anyway, Zero comes through the roof again, which he does it like 3 times in the game, and ending the Sigma virus for now at the least. And after another long battle, X ponders, to save mankind, he must destroy Zero, but that's not here or there. But only time will tell. This is one of my favorite Mega Man games ever, and it's just better than X2 and the first one. I want to thank you all for 100 subscribers and growing, as once I started the Messing Around series and the streams of these games, my channel grew, and it's why I choose these games to review. Thank you for everything.